Hey guys, this is Nolit with Runway Style Media, and today I have the incomparable Bruce Glen. I call them the Color Brothers.
I'm Bruce. And I'm Glen, and we're BruceGlen.
There you go, guys. So, hey guys, thanks a lot for being here. And I want to start the interview off by just letting everybody know I met these wonderful guys at New York Fashion Week where they had their beautiful raspberry hair. What'd you call it, raspberry?
Raspberry is fine. It's more raspberry now because the roots have grown out, but like when it's down to the roots, it's like it's bright, really
bright fuchsia.
Yeah, fuchsia.
Right, and I had my kind of like my white kind of Grace Jones look going, so we were just a whole vibe going on there. And then we've been just keeping tabs on each other since then. So guys, tell my audience, what are you doing here in LA? You were in New York and now you're in LA.
I know, it's pretty crazy. We're about to come up on a year being here in LA, November 10th.
We officially moved to LA a year ago.
Right.
Like Bruce said, November 10th. We lived in New York 16 years, but we go back and forth to New York often because we have a fashion brand and we do production there, and we also have a church that's based on or that's on both coasts.
Both coasts,
yeah. So we have one on the East Coast and one here on the West Coast.
Mm-hmm. Now, tell our viewers a little bit more about the church, because they do their church with like a fashion kind of edge and a fashion vibe. You bring the Lord to everyone, but you do it with style.
Style and grace. I guess not just fashion. Our goal is really to
reach artists, you know, people who I guess didn't or don't feel comfortable going to the traditional church, or don't feel accepted, you know, or feel like they might be judged because of the way they dressed, or because, you know, they're a little bit different, they're a little offbeat, you know, they're not the normal typical Christian, you know.
Right.
And so we really want to bring Jesus to people in a way that not to say that we have it all figured out, but that he wants to be presented, which is just loving, kind, and accepting, non-judgmental, you know. So
I mean, just like come as you are.
come as you are, yeah.
Do you have any projects going on with the church that you'd like our audience to know about? Any like revivals or any type big fashion shows at the church? Because I know
we grew up with a lot of revivals, you know. So if we did do a revival, I don't know if it would be in a traditional sense of like what we grew up with.
We do a lot of, I guess, what most people would think are like not typical things you do at a church. Like we have jacuzzi Bible study. We have
we have a hiking service.
Yeah, hiking on Sunday where we go hiking together, and then we
have a content
service
creation service. So we rented out a content creation studio. We have service there. And then right after the service, we allow for them to have 2-3 hours to just create their own content for their platforms.
And everybody comes dressed up, and they bring their different outfits. And
I mean, we have bag designers who brought their bags and set it up in the space and did a whole commercial.
Shots.
We have models who just came and took some shots. You know, Instagram influencers who just came and did reels. So it was just nice for them to be able to kind of collaborate together and create content, after service. And we talked a lot about how God is the creator and created us in his image. So we have to now create in whatever is inside of us, that gift, that art. It's when we do it, we are like our Father.
And see, that's what I love about you guys, because I feel like I'm the same way. I feel like I want to profess God, but then I want to show my creativity, my colors, my fashion, and not feel that I have to douse that just to serve the Lord.
Right.
And I think that's a great angle, and you bring a lot of young people in with that approach. I love it. But we're going to move on real quick and talk about the fashion. I mean, look at this. Color. Tell us when you started designing, what put you in the mind frame that you wanted to be designers? What made you go there?
I think it was something that we've always done since we popped out of our mom like some kettle corn.
We've always had like an affinity towards art. And growing up, our father would draw, and then he would draw the outline of something, and he'd say, okay, color that in. So we will always wind up drawing. But then at a certain age, we started drawing girls in clothing, you know, and we even made like a set of paper dolls.
And our mother, when she found those paper dolls, she said, "No paper dolls in my house."
She took out paper dolls and she ripped them up. But for us, it wasn't like, in our minds, we weren't creating dolls. We were creating a girl with interchangeable outfits. So we were thinking about it differently than she saw it.
And, you know, there was a different time where, you know, we were growing up in the hood, and, you know, she was a black woman raised in black men, and, you know, they had to be a certain way, or, you know, there were certain interests that they should or should not have. And, you know, now today, I believe she would be very proud of us and where we've come, you know.
Yeah, she's with the Lord now for 10 years. Wow. But yeah, I think she would be very happy about our career.
So I guess our fashion started all the way back then, and I mean, sort of kind of.
You're right. I mean, I had, like, what do you call those things? Fashion plates. I had those, and you guys had the paper dolls. I think that's a great way to get into fashion. Like, what were your influences also too back then?
Our sister,
the
women around us, the women in our neighborhood. You know, that's really what influenced us. The way
Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Oh, really? Okay.
We love Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
I mean, the way that, you know, the women around us would wear things, and the way that Buffy, Sarah Michelle Gellar, who was Buffy in the TV show.
We would watch our sister get ready for, like, the club and stuff, and she would, you know, get dressed and look really cool.
You know, she was like your typical 90s girl, big earrings, you know, so big that
silver
now
lipstick,
she had to get her earlobes repaired, you know what I mean, because those earrings were so big and weighty. You know, Champion sweatshirts, you know, all that kind of stuff. Wearing a scarf around her neck.
We would go out with her sometimes, and she would even dress us like she would buy a specific item that she would keep in her room. Like we had a Benetton polo that she bought for us,
and we could only wear that when we went out with her.
So she wouldn't let us wear it any other time. She's like, okay, you're coming out with me, and she would go to her drawer and take out our Benetton polos, and she would give them to us, and we would go out with her together.
I'm thinking I know where you may have got this color influence, because their whole campaign was about color.
Well, you know, we didn't know anything about that back then. You know, I didn't know what it was when she was putting it on us.
And it was a black polo with green writing. I remember. United Colors of Benetton.
Well, the color is interesting because, like, we've always loved color and always were drawn to color.
But when we were younger, we never wore color because, you know, it just wasn't cool for young black kids and boys specifically.
And you guys said you were from DC.
DC, yeah. I mean, there was like a particular uniform that young black men wore in our neighborhood.
It was a white t-shirt, black t-shirt, jeans, and the latest pair of Jordans.
Exactly.
And that's it, you know. So you kind of deviate from that, you know. It's like, what's going on with you?
Right.
So when we got to New York and we started designing, and we actually started our collection, we didn't even design color at first. And this was 16 years ago.
Okay.
We designed what we thought the industry wanted, and what we thought would make us successful quickly.
And we designed this very high-end line that was just, I mean, now looking back, you would say that's so not BruceGlen, you know, but we were doing what we thought was necessary.
Our logo was different. It was like black script that said BruceGlen in cursive, and it was on a cream background.
But we quickly realized that that's not who we were, you know, and it wasn't until we let all this that was inside of us out that we begin to see traction and see success in our brand.
We just did what without trying. Without trying, what just came naturally. And we will always wind up going to color and pattern, and we were like, okay, let's just do this, you know, even if it didn't feel like that's what people wanted. Turns out that's what they wanted.
Right. And you know what I love about what you're saying? You're just proving that being true to yourselves and going with what is really you and not following a trend or setting a trend makes you unique and makes you more visible, more accepted.
Yeah.
So I love it.